A tangled web of suspicion, injustice, and hidden truths surrounds Jenn Soto's arrest.
Usable blood for a proper tox screen. So they didn't find evidence of the marijuana or anything else. So for lack of anything else to go on, they saw what can be described as very minimal damage in her throat and attributed it to strangulation because it was the only thing they had to go on, weak as it was. The ME took hair samples too. I don't know why he didn't test those. Maybe the investigators were just looking for a reason to be able to call it red rum because that's better for their careers to solve one. Now you know as much as I do about her death. That's why I was so shocked when I was charged with red rum, because I was certain the autopsy would reveal what actually happened, but instead they just made up a theory that benefited their desires to take me down as hard as possible based on rather flimsy and circumstantial evidence.
Now, listen, we don't give a shit if what he's saying or he's lying and trying to shroud it and take away from him. But what we do care about and what we are going to talk about is the fact that Jenn was the one that gave her the marijuana, the Ativan, and even possibly double doses of that based on the toxicology, as well as the autopsy. We've talked about this behind the scenes, and they had fingerprints. It wasn't a handprint. It's fingerprints, like finger bruises, and kind of a hairline fracture in the hyoid bone. Do I believe what he's saying? And did I roll my eyes out of my head when I read it? Absolutely. But with the police and law enforcement effort to get those documents and charge Jenn Soto, this is not about charging Stephan Stearns. He's got 21 life sentences. Bye, Felicia. All right. So we're talking about Jenn Soto's arrest and how it's going to come. All right. Yeah. Believe it or not.
And it makes sense because of the days that passed from when it occurred and when she was found, and it was being hot, and the level of her she was probably dehydrated. So It makes sense that they would not have been able to get a lot of blood out of her. So that's a scientific fact. People can like it or not.
No, and it's true. It's absolutely 110% true. She was already decomposing by then as well.
Correct. Okay. So as to the things I pled guilty to, that is such an extremely complicated situation and a lot to unpack. And I'm not quite ready to discuss that. But the suppression motions were denied based on the judge misconstruing and twisting the facts to make his reasons fit. He clearly caved to public pressure and didn't have the spine to remain impartial. So I took the plea deal, which was a horrible deal, and my PDs basically rolled over, I think, public defenders, and gave up to play nice with the state. Hell, the PDs on the homicide case hadn't even read through much of the discovery. I was pointing out facts from the autopsy report that they were not even aware of or familiar with. The whole thing was an absolute crap show. Does that perhaps clarify some aspects of the case for you? I have remained silent on it for too long, and everyone was only too ready to believe that I would be capable of taking the life of one of my favorite people in the world, the life of a child I helped to raise, whom I was teaching to drive, whom I was so proud of, and so looking forward to seeing her grow up. It's not a thing that I'm capable of. It's not in me to take any human life in cold blood, much less hers. Thanks. I hope my parents contact me soon. I hate to say it, but he sounds sincere. I mean, as crazy in the head, as crazy as all is in his head, it makes sense.
Well, listen, yes, you're right. In his head, it makes sense. And I don't care about what his head makes sense to him. I care about the facts. And that's what we're going to do to get Jenn Soto arrested with the new chief of police that says they would not have let Jenn off, that she hid behind, didn't take deposition. So that's what we're working on. Stephan's not going anywhere. And
you've always said the whole point of this was you want to get in their minds. Stephan's or anybody's that's crazy like this. It's why did you act that way? What made you that way? Why are you still, in that headspace and following that narrative? So
and listen,
it's good to see that reveal, like layers of an onion.
Also, why didn't he tell law enforcement when he was at the table, hey, Jenn gave Maddie, she was smoking weed that night, she gave her Ativan, double the
Right.
dose, probably because the bottle was open. He didn't ever say anything
Right.
about Jenn Soto. So now listen, if law enforcement comes and they go to open the case on Jenn Soto and nothing Stephan says matches and they can't find evidence, then it's all just a big lie and none of that happened. But I don't think that's the case.
I
All
remember
right.
reading about a case the week before or two where somebody had died through asphyxiation from the vomit. So it's not like it's not. It was a medical thing for somebody that was older and same kind of thing though. They couldn't get up because they were so fully drugged that they
And listen,
it happens for real in medical circumstances.
yeah,
So
but the bottom line of it is that we heard Jenn Soto just yesterday sticking up for Stephan Stearns. He didn't do it. He didn't, over
I
and
don't
over
believe
and
anything
over.
she says. I don't believe anything she says.
Exactly. So why are we sitting here like even we're talking about arresting Jenn Soto and bringing the evidence forward now that Stephan's talking? He's not
Right.
getting out.
No.
All right, let's keep reading so we can get
All right.
this done.
Now this is you. So you're two Stephan. This is you.
All right, we called Jenn Soto the potato, Danny, because we've been covering this case for a good year and a half. And I had a guest that said she didn't think Jenn Soto was involved, but that she was just a lazy potato. Now, potatoes don't do anything. Potatoes just sit there and let things pass by because they can't. And she's high all the time. So we called her the Jenn Soto, the potato.
Covered in eyes and ears and doesn't use any of them.
Right, exactly. So because according to her narrative, she didn't see anything, she didn't know anything, Stephan wouldn't have done that, yada yada. All right, what page are we on? Where am I?
Number 10.
Wait, there's no pages on mine. What date?
Oh, September 16th to Stephan Stearns.
Okay, all right. All right, so September 16th to Stephan. So has this place been better than the others? That is crazy. They're allowed to come at you guys like that. The media kept saying that you are not taking showers by choice. I guess they can do whatever the way they want in a sense, but they do not feel like anything will happen if they do. I do appreciate you answering the questions. I can't believe that Jenn lets you take the fall for everything when Jenn was involved in the pictures too, because when she was shown it in the interviews, she did not look surprised. One choice can change so much. Not calling and taking it all in your hands changed it all for you. I really do think they will go. I really do not think that they will go after Jenn at all. You should have told everything. I know your parents probably want to know the truth. They've been through so much and it's sad. I am slammed at work, blah, blah, blah. So this one's got to be short. All right. Do you want me to say anything to everybody else? September 16th from Stephan Stearns. I'll go ahead and read that one.
Me.
Okay,
Nope,
you want to read
me.
it?
Otherwise, it's confusing to the people in the chat when we're
Hold
doing
on.
that.
Before we go, let me stop for a second. I'm gonna weigh in on this. And Ericer, I don't know what that says. Listen, several times my teenage son, as a teenager, had lots of different kinds of parties and friends and things. I saw it all. And the kids at 15, 14, 16 had parties where they were dabbing and smoking weed and not drinking, just smoking, dabbing, weed, pills, whatever. And it ended up in a night of vomit, like straight up for hours vomit. I've witnessed that. So the only reason that I can relate to them giving Maddie a bunch of weed, Ativan, anxiety pills, sleeping pills, and her throwing up, that is the only thing, that and the throw up that we saw. I can relate when people say, I've never heard of that. Weed will make you spin. And then you add pills to it at 13 years old. Yeah. So there's a truth in that. As far as strangulation, asphyxiation, and who did it and how much force, well, we got to see the autopsy and the toxicology to find out how many, what the levels are, et cetera, et cetera. All right. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
yep.
And if you go back and listen, we just kind of explained all that. So, hey, yes, this place is a night and day difference. The reason the officers at the other places can come at you like that is those facilities don't have cameras everywhere, not in the cells, and they know how and where to mess with you. They will lie, they will set you up, they will falsify their reports, they will beat you up, and then hit you with additional charges just to screw people over who are about to go home. It's really bad. they do that. That's a true thing. It's not just movies, people. Yes, I should have done things differently. My attorneys told me to keep my mouth shut, and all that did was allow the investigators and state to control the narrative. Okay, I wish you would quit saying that because that sounds very Lori Daybell to me. Okay, Jenn probably followed her own attorney's advice. I know my own team couldn't even get to her for a disposition. Oh God, I even say that word, and I was going to law school. Not that they probably tried very hard. The whole situation was an absolute clown show. And you're right, one dumb decision can change everything. Not that I was even capable of rational thoughts or decisions at that point. I had a complete mental and emotional breakdown. I was in shock for over a week afterwards. It took me several weeks to return to anywhere near normal again. That's why I was on stripping the suicide watch cell for as long as I was.
Words. Hey, you can't say that. Sorry. And it's unaliving. You can't say the S-U-I. Yeah. It's all good.
Sorry. I was talking about that In Excess song. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know, the blonde one?
Yeah.
Even when I finally got my clothes and blankets, I was still under constant observation and evaluation by mental health. Tiffany, you do better redacting. Okay. My blood pressure was in the stroke range, and my body was numb to the point that I wasn't even registering pain normally for weeks afterwards. The grief and the loss had broken me. I was devastated in a way that I have never experienced before. I would never wish upon anyone. A part of me died that day as I held her cold body in my arms and wept. I told you he loved her.
Hold on real quick. We are not raising money here. We make goals. We make goals so that we can gift memberships, Foxy boxes, merchandise, etc. So no, we're not raising money ever unless we say that, and we won't ever. I will never do that again on my platform. I was new at it and it bit me in the ass. So never. All right, go ahead.
Whoever said that, you're very negative. Gross. Anyway, Lordy. Okay, here. I suffered a terrible loss that day too, and no one seemed to consider that.